Have you ever felt that something was off with someone, like their words were sweet, but their energy said otherwise? It's not paranoia. It's your intuition catching what your logic hasn't processed yet. One of the clearest signs that someone secretly dislikes you is when their actions betray their words. They may smile, offer praise, or act polite, but their behavior doesn't line up. Maybe they say they have your back yet never show up when it counts. Maybe they compliment your work then conveniently disappear when you actually need support. The Stoics warned us about this kind of duplicity. Marcus Aurelius taught that the true harm doesn't lie in what someone says or does, but in how you respond. This isn't about confronting the other person or demanding honesty, it's about staying grounded. Let their inconsistency speak louder than their words. Don't internalize it. Don't take it as a reflection of your value. Instead, use it as a quiet cue to adjust your expectations. Protect your peace by observing calmly and responding with wisdom. Because at the end of the day, your emotional clarity is your greatest defense, and no fake smile or empty promise can shake a man who's mastered the art of self-control. Ever had someone say, "Wow, I didn't expect you to pull that off," and for some reason, it didn't feel like a compliment at all? That's not your imagination. That's a backhanded compliment, one of the subtlest, most frustrating ways people reveal their hidden resentment. It's praise with a poison tip, and it often comes from those who feel threatened by your growth. Stoic philosophy helps us decode this behavior without getting emotionally entangled. Seneca reminds us that the power of the mind is to be unconquerable, and this is exactly where that strength is needed. When someone subtly diminishes your success, calling it luck, brushing it off, or saying it was easier for you, they're not assessing your achievement. They're projecting their insecurity. Instead of reacting with anger or defensiveness, take a breath. Recognize the jab, but don't let it pierce. Their words say more about their internal storm than about your worth. Let their bitterness sharpen you, not break you. And if their critique holds any truth, let it refine you quietly. But if it doesn't, let it roll off like rain on armor. In that moment, you're not just protecting your pride, you're preserving your peace. And that's a power few ever learn to wield. Isn't it strange how some of the most hurtful words come wrapped in smiles and sweet tones? You hear things like, "You're lucky that worked out for you," or "I didn't think you had it in you," phrases that sound harmless, maybe even flattering on the surface. But deep down, you feel the sting. That's because those words aren't meant to lift you. They're meant to shrink you, to subtly plant doubt where there should be confidence. And often they come from people you thought were in your corner. According to Stoic philosophy, this isn't about you being too sensitive. It's about them being too insecure. Seneca wrote that the power of the mind is to be unconquerable, not because the world is kind, but because we train ourselves to remain calm in the face of subtle attacks. When someone resents your success, it's usually because it reflects what they haven't achieved themselves. You're a mirror they don't like looking into. That's why they try to dim your light with jokes, dismissive comments, or faint praise. But here's your power: you don't need to prove anything to them. You don't need to defend your win. You simply need to remain unmoved. Take their words, examine them. If there's truth, let it strengthen you. If there's none, discard them with grace. True confidence doesn't argue, it observes, understands, and rises above. When you respond with calm and clarity, you strip their words of the power to wound. And in doing so, you become untouchable, not because others stop trying to bring you down, but because you no longer give them the keys to your emotional world. In a society that thrives on comparison and quiet envy, the man who refuses to take things personally becomes a fortress. Let them talk. Let them project. You've got better things to build. Have you ever had a conversation where everything seemed nice, but you walked away feeling strangely off, like the connection was hollow? That's not just your gut talking. That's forced politeness, a mask people wear when they don't want to reveal how they truly feel. Maybe their words are polished, their smile automatic, and their tone carefully neutral. But if you look closer, the warmth is missing. Their laugh doesn't reach their eyes. Their compliments feel like lines from a script, and somehow you can tell you're being tolerated, not appreciated. The Stoics teach us not to take such interactions personally. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, what they say or do is a reflection of them, not of you. This is where emotional discipline becomes your superpower. You don't need to challenge them or mirror their insincerity. Instead, you lead with authenticity, not to win them over, but because that's who you are. When someone's politeness feels forced, it reveals more about their discomfort than your worth. Don't let it shake you. Stay calm, stay true, and let your presence expose the contrast. In a world full of pretenders, your quiet confidence becomes a mirror. And often that alone is enough to unsettle those still hiding behind their masks. Ever notice how some people always seem to talk over you or steer the conversation away the moment you start speaking? It's subtle, but it stings. You're sharing something important, or even just trying to connect, and suddenly you're being cut off, redirected, or ignored. They don't have to raise their voice or insult you outright. Their weapon is dismissal, and it's often masked as casual conversation. But the message is clear: your voice doesn't matter here. And that's where Stoic wisdom becomes your shield. Epictetus taught that we shouldn't waste energy defending ourselves from every slight. "You evidently don't know my other faults," he said with irony, reminding us that we don't need to validate our worth to those who refuse to hear it. When someone repeatedly interrupts or redirects you, it's not about your value. It's about their discomfort, their insecurity, their need to feel in control. So don't fight to be heard in rooms that aren't built to listen. Observe, learn, adjust your expectations, and then speak only where your voice is welcomed, not just tolerated. Your worth isn't measured by how many times you're allowed to talk. It's reflected in the strength it takes to remain silent when silence holds more power than words. That's not weakness, it's mastery. Isn't it strange how the people who promise to be there for you are often the first to disappear when you actually need them? They agree to help nod along with your plans, maybe even offer words of encouragement, but when the moment comes, they vanish. Their excuses sound reasonable. Their apologies are polite. But their actions speak the truth: they were never really invested in you to begin with. And that hurts, not just because you feel let down, but because you trusted them. This is where Stoic philosophy gives us clarity. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." When someone's unreliability starts showing, don't beg for effort or chase after empty promises. Instead, treat it as a signal, a silent cue telling you where not to place your energy. Emotional freedom begins when you stop expecting loyalty from people who've only ever offered convenience. Let their inconsistency sharpen your discernment, not your bitterness. Don't carry resentment. Carry wisdom. And most importantly, don't let their absence make you question your worth. You weren't asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person. Protect your peace by investing in those who show up, not just speak up. Because real support doesn't need reminders. It shows up on its own. Have you ever noticed how some people only seem to root for you when your success benefits them? They're full of praise when your achievements align with their goals, when they can ride your momentum or take partial credit. But the moment your success has nothing to offer them, their energy fades. Their support becomes silence. This isn't real encouragement, it's a transaction disguised as friendship. And it cuts deep, because it feels like betrayal wrapped in a handshake. But the Stoics would tell you, don't take it personally. As Seneca said, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Release those who cannot. Conditional support isn't a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of their limitations. These moments are not failures in your social circle, they are revelations. They show you who's in your life for connection and who's there for convenience. And when you recognize the difference, you reclaim your power. Let go not in anger, but in clarity. You don't need to confront or explain. Just withdraw your emotional investment and place it where loyalty is real. Because a man who honors himself doesn't beg for backing, he walks with those who already stand by his side, even when there's nothing in it for them. That's where trust is born. Why is it that the more you succeed, the more some people seem eager to tear you down one subtle jab at a time? You'd think your wins would be celebrated, but instead they're met with quiet bitterness. A smirk, a must be nice, a passive comment about how lucky you are. It's not overt hatred, it's disguised resentment. And it often comes from the very people who claim to support you. But Stoic wisdom cuts through the noise. Epictetus taught, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. When someone downplays your accomplishments, it's not about you, it's about them. Your growth is a mirror reflecting back their stagnation, and instead of doing the work, they try to drag you down to their comfort zone. Don't take the bait. You don't need to argue or prove yourself. Your actions speak volumes. Respond not with pride or defensiveness, but with humility and focus. Let your consistency be your answer, your discipline be your shield. Real strength isn't loud, it's grounded. And when you refuse to shrink to make others feel big, you reclaim your space unapologetically. Remember, your path isn't up for negotiation. Stay centered. Let them whisper. While they doubt, you keep building. Eventually, even their silence will sound like applause. Why do some people wear masks of kindness while quietly hoping you fail? You've seen it, the fake smiles, the polite nods, the carefully chosen words that never quite feel real. They won't say they dislike you, but their energy betrays them. Stoicism doesn't ask you to expose them or seek revenge. It asks you to observe calmly, clearly. Marcus Aurelius said, if someone has done you wrong, the real harm lies not in what they've done, but in your response to it. You don't need to uncover their motives or fix their behavior. Instead, protect your peace. Recognize that their bitterness, their avoidance, their subtle sabotage, it all stems from their own battles, not your value. You're not here to win their approval. You're here to walk your path with strength and dignity. The man who sees clearly without reacting emotionally cannot be manipulated. And that more than anything unnerves those who hide behind fake smiles. Be the calm in their storm, and watch who reveals themselves when you no longer play their game. What if the real power isn't in being liked, but in staying unshaken when you're not? That's the quiet strength Stoicism offers. You won't always be welcomed, celebrated, or understood, and that's okay. The goal isn't to please everyone. The goal is to remain centered when others try to pull you off course with hidden judgments or cold indifference. Stoic wisdom teaches us that we can't control how others feel about us, but we can absolutely control how we respond. When you sense dislike masked behind politeness, don't react with paranoia or pain. Respond with presence, with clarity, with poise. The man who sees without being provoked holds the highest ground. You weren't made to beg for approval, you were made to stand firm in who you are. Let others reveal their truth through inconsistency and veiled remarks. Let your truth be steady, honest, and grounded. Because when your peace doesn't depend on others, that's when you become untouchable. That's when you stop chasing respect and start commanding it. What if the greatest freedom isn't changing how others treat you, but refusing to let it change you? That's the essence of true Stoic strength. You'll encounter people who smile to your face, but hide quiet resentment behind their eyes. You'll feel the tension, the subtle digs, the cold distance, wrapped in polite words. But you're not here to expose them. You're here to elevate yourself. Recognizing hidden dislike isn't about revenge or confrontation. It's about awareness without attachment. It's the choice to protect your energy, guard your peace, and move through the world with quiet dignity. Because once you realize their actions reflect them, not you, you stop overanalyzing. You stop proving. You start living. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive." That's the energy you carry forward, not bitterness, not suspicion, but purpose. Let them play their quiet games. You've got bigger things to build, deeper truths to live, and a mind too focused to be shaken by shadows. In life, one of the most powerful lessons is learning to see clearly without letting emotions cloud your judgment. Not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions, and not every kind word is sincere. But that doesn't mean you need to become cold or suspicious. What Stoic wisdom teaches us is far more valuable. Stay calm, stay aware, and protect your inner peace above all else. The ability to recognize subtle disrespect, concealed envy, or transactional relationships isn't about confrontation. It's about discernment. It's about valuing yourself enough to walk away from what doesn't align with your integrity. As you grow older, you realize that peace isn't found in being liked by everyone. It's found in knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you no longer need to tolerate. You don't need to explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Just live in a way that speaks louder than any defense. In a world full of noise and false signals, your quiet strength and emotional clarity will become your greatest advantage and your most intimate form of self-respect.